JB here. JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. August 26, 2024, about 33 minutes to the open. Talk really quick about the markets, the week ahead, some of the names I'm looking at, and go from there. Just a little side note, some questions. I get it quite a few times, and I actually finally found the video I made. I think it was back in 2018. But in regards to limits, stops, controlling risk when trading options is the name of it. I put the link in the watch list. It's in the chat room yesterday afternoon, I think, posted. I'll see if I post it again. But nice little video. The thing is, back in 2018, I think options still were pretty expensive to trade. I think 25 cents a contract, $9.99 to trade. So there's a little more different dynamic to trading options now than there was back in 2018. There's less costs associated with making the trades, right? So I'll probably try and do an updated one on that in the coming days. But similar premise, controlling risk, and a lot to me, controlling risk when you're trading options is the sizing of the account that you have on, and then using a cash account, right? Those two ways will probably save you from blowing up an account really quick. But anyway, rants for other days. Take a look at the S&P. Futures are up just a little bit here this morning, looking to add to its rally from last week after Powell was able to, I guess you would say, alleviate concerns that the Fed has not acted quick enough to prevent a recession. We have the next big data piece. Well, PC data will be out on Friday. NVDA earnings after the close Wednesday. Everybody will be watching that one. Is the AI boom over? Is the top in for that growth story? And there's going to be another story somewhere down the line. And then next week is probably almost more important than some of the CPI data. Well, I would say more important than the most recent CPI data, but probably almost similar. We have the jobs report for August next Friday. So after seeing what happened with the July jobs report, markets a major sell-off, a lot of concerns, but then the weekly jobs claim numbers have been coming in line or even better than expected. So maybe that was just a one-time blip, and then we can head back to business as normal, business as usual. Markets, S&P is right near the all-time highs, 465. 565. I hit back in the middle of July. I think it's July 16th. I don't know, probably going to get that either in the next coming days. Who knows what's going to happen today? I prefer to see chop sometimes for a couple of days before the next leg, but that would be the next big spot, 465, and then more blue skies. Another great sign. I keep saying like a broken record, but IWM to that 215 handle, like a hot knife through butter. Great sign. Now is it going to start getting up near 225? The CPI data from June's data that really started that big spike in small caps. That's the next big level. So good signs there. And even if the market stays somewhat flat or just moves up a 0.5% or so over the next couple of weeks, if the IWM can start to outperform, I think that'll be bode well, especially for a lot of the names I'm in. All right, so individual names. I talked about my rant on Friday afternoon. ROKU added those weekly strikes, waited all the way till Friday. Finally, Guggenheim upgraded the stock, and that was the kick it needed. It was like, I use the analogy, it's like a snowball on a cliff, and it's all it needed was someone to push that snowball down that hill, and boom, then it starts just picking up steam. All the way up to $70, pulled back, sitting here at 69 and change in the pre-market. Probably not going to add anything more. I flipped out of those weekly strikes. I sold them for 500%. They were over 2,000% right after the lunch hour. Also got the September 75s, locked some of those in. Two different strikes, 200%, 300%, held the rest. I'll probably wait to see more strength, but you start looking. I've said this when I had the calls back at the start of July when ROKU started to move as well off its lows, that there's a lot of gaps to fill on ROKU, and you start looking at the 70, I think it's 72 handle, we're close. Then you go all the way up to 90. So not saying all gaps have to be filled. That's not a rule, but a lot of times, especially in names that they're not going bankrupt or to zero, they tend to come back and fill those gaps. So we'll be watching ROKU for more opportunity to play for upside. Redfin's back up at 1145 here in the pre-market, hit 1166 on Friday. No news or catalyst. So there was no upgrade. There was no no big news event. It was the housing numbers that came out substantially better than expected. New home sales, I think it was 10%. Estimates for pretty much a flat number. And then now you have the Fed's going to start their rate cut cycle. And that's just bullish. And not only that, the Redfin story after its recent earnings report talked about being profitable at the back half of this year or the start of next year. It's a name I think it could trade $15 plus. So lock some of my September strikes in for some nice profits, lock some in the Novembers, and I may look for some more strikes if it starts showing strength again, especially if it holds 1150. 1150 is a big area. Uh, and you pull it out. And I'm not saying this is going into the 20s, 30s, 40s, but at the start of 2022, that's where it was, I think it was 35, $40. And a lot of that issue with what happened in 2022 was rates were uh, going haywire, right? And you have to think that the housing folks looking for housing is still going to be there's demand there, but then there's supplies not there. It's people don't want to move out of their house if they have a low rate, and then people who are looking for homes probably don't want to pay a high rate. They want to wait for rates to come down. So now we're kind of in that sweet spot where rates coming down, pent up supply, pent up demand. And I think that's just going to bode well for traffic for Redfin, revenues, profits, so on and so forth. So that's the Redfin story. Still eyeing turn, nice strong close on Friday. A spike right at the end of the day, all the way up into the 820s. Their data comes out. You hope before September 20th option expiration. There's been huge option activity last week. I'm sure that's going to continue. I'm still waiting for M&A in the GLP-1 space, so that's still out there as well. Maybe a company wants to acquire them before the news hits, but still looking for some October strikes. And they added some more strikes as well, which will help find a nice risk reward strike as opposed to trying to find strikes that are 250 increments or $5 increments. No fun. So NVIDIA reports earnings after the close Wednesday. You're probably going to see two events for Dell, and Dell will probably have an upside move if NVIDIA has a beat and raise, and then you also have Dell's going to report earnings after close Thursday. So probably the strategy, at least for me, and I was looking to re-enter the calls after the big move that I made some nice money on the previous week. Thankfully, I closed those my strikes out because Dell was pretty much flatlined last week. It traded between 108 and 112. And that's after the stock was, I think it was 88. It went all the way up to 110 in a matter of 4 sessions. So I'm not saying you know, not saying I'm thankful I was able to lock the profits in. I still think it heads higher. I was just waiting for an opportunity to add some strikes here. So probably similar to what I've been trying to do is add some strikes into earnings, similar to what I did with Baidu. Hope for some premium build into Wednesday NVIDIA event, lock some in to cover costs, and then hold freebies into Dell's earnings. That would be the hope there. We'll see how that plays out. I think if Dell reports a decent quarter, raises guidance, and then is able to alleviate concerns around those server margins, I think it's off to the races, 130 and beyond. So really like Dell into earnings. I'll add something probably right after the open today. Clear Secure, I talked about this Friday too. It's a bull flag setup. So you have the flag from the 20s all the way up to 28, $6 divided by 50%. That gives you another $4 move to the upside. So I think it trades 31.32 at least. Tested 29 yesterday. It's 29 in the pre-market. I think crash course into the 30s. Still looking to add some more strikes there. So that's clear. SE, nice consolidation. Of course, I would love to see SE at $90 already, but similar, if it starts showing some strength over 85, I'll look to add some more strikes there. I'm trying to think of some of the other names I'm looking at. The VIX is stubborn. It's up back over 16. You'll be considering markets at all-time highs. Or it's a stone throw away. We're only a couple bucks away for the SPY to hit all-time highs. I would have thought the VIX would be back down under 14 or so. So definitely something I'll be watching this week. But again, there's not much in the way of catalyst. So the next catalyst could be geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, extremely high, hotter than expected PCE data, which surprises markets. A big bust by NVIDIA. If they have any hint of a slowdown in their business, that'll not bode well for the markets either. And that's about it. I'm going to be in and out of the chat room after 10 o'clock today. I probably won't even know I'm in and out, but just so you're aware. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. Rock and roll.